Congrats! Hello, you absolute lovelies. Earlier this week, I was lucky enough to see the Supergirl trailer just a little bit early, and I got to see it with Supergirl herself, with director Craig Gillespie, with James Gunn and Peter Safran. It was an incredible experience, and I wanted to share it with you. I wanted to bring you along with me, hearing the tales of the experience, as well as what the whole event was like. Now, last year, Warner Brothers did the same thing with Superman. They kicked off a 7-month promo campaign with a great trailer event, and I made a similar video. I got to talk about my conversations with everyone involved with making Superman. I got to dive into all of that, and you guys seem to love that video, so I wanted to do the same thing again, but this time I got really lucky and I was able to record a couple of the conversations. Last time there was no recording allowed. I posted a few pictures and I talked about the story. This time recording was limited, so I've only got a couple interviews I can show you here, but likewise, I do want to tell you some of the conversations I have with Kara Zor-El herself, with the director bringing this world to life, so I thought we could dive in right away. Now, if you're new to this page, please hit that subscription bell. I do lots of stuff like this. I am a DC Studios comic correspondent. I work with DC Studios and I talk all about the comics themselves, so if you like comics, this page is definitely for you. Also, like this video, it helps the algorithm, and leave a comment letting me know which of these quotes and ideas and things you're most excited about. Let's talk about it in the comments below, and let's talk about it right now. So, it was an event in New York. It was so beautifully rendered. It was so beautifully made. All the reds and blues and feels of fill in the blank, Superman, Supergirl, the Kryptonian family were there, but with an edge, with a punk rockness. This was in like a club. This felt very, very different than a Clark party. This was very Kara. And the whole event was this rad underground spot that was the biggest diehard fans of this world, all watching the trailer for the first time together. And it was presented by James Gunn and Peter Safran. Now, this clip right here is them coming out and introducing us, the world, to MILLY Alcock for the very first time.
Yeah. MILLY Alcock. Yeah. So Millie, that's the first time you've seen it, right? Fully complete.
Yeah.
And how did you feel?
Crazy.
Is this so weird? Is this so surreal for you?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
In the best way.
It is.
No, it's really surreal seeing like everyone's work come together and kind of, you know, it's gonna happen. Shit.
What are you guys most excited for people to see in this movie?
When he says you guys, is he asking you?
I'm asking both of you. You can answer individually or together. I know you're like a hive.
Listen, look, this is really an anti-hero story. It's like what I loved about the script and that Anna wrote and what you guys were supporting is she's got a lot of baggage and a lot of demons coming into this, which is very different than where Superman is in his life. And having Millie be able to come in and play that, it's like, and all the complexity of that, and do it in a very human way that gives it, you know, where we can like actually have empathy for her, and the dance of the humor, and somebody that has that toughness was such a gift to get, because she was obviously already casted for this. So I was incredibly lucky. It worked out great, and I'm excited for everybody to see that, because it's really surprising the headspace that she's in and the journey she goes on for a typical superhero movie, which this is not.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really excited for everybody to see all of our crew's hard work in like curating the world physically, all the worlds physically, all the aliens, all the VFX, all the like literally thousands of people who made this project come to life. So I'm really excited for their work to be reflected for people to see it.
Yeah, listen, for me this is such a cool experience because Craig has been one of my favorite directors for many years. Tanya was my favorite movie of the year that came out. And so him coming in was awesome. And just as weird is Millie, I mean even weirder in a way. Because when I first read Woman of Tomorrow, Peter and I were just in talks about taking over DC Studios. It was not a done deal. But still, that didn't stop us from fantasizing about how we would do it, what would the projects be, how would it take place. And the first thing that excited me was reading this book and saying, I think that's something we could adapt as a film and really have a different take on Supergirl, a character who is, you know, so many times female superheroes are so perfect, and she's not that at all. She's very imperfect, you know, like male superheroes have been allowed to be for a while. And I was excited about doing it, and I said, you know who would be great? This is totally true. I remember on the phone, say, you know who would be great as Supergirl? that little girl from House. Are you watching House of the Dragon? That little girl, that little tiny kid from that little miniature human being from House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I think she's really got something special about her. And then, you know, whatever it was, a year and a half, 2 years later, to have you come in and audition for the role in the way you did was just incredible. And I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank
I
you.
really am. I mean, it's like, it's so, I can't wait. The thing I'm the most excited for you guys to see is her. She's so good in the movie and really has this swagger that is so different from you. I love it. Which I think you can see in the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I can't wait for you guys to get to see this movie, and I can't wait for you to get to know this character and get to see Craig's work in a completely different way than the stuff he's done before, and see a DCU movie that's different from anything that's, you know, that we've done so far. From the beginning, we said this is a story-based medium. We want stories to be in theaters that are cool and different from each other. And this movie, I think as you can see, is not exactly just a female clone of Superman. It's its own thing entirely. And with a character who is equally worthy of this treatment, and I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Of course, this event wouldn't be complete without director Craig Gillespie, who also came out and described why he was so excited to jump on this property.
No, I appreciate that. It's like when we came in and James was in the middle of shooting Superman when I met on this, and I said, how much do you want us to tie into what you're doing? And he's like, I want to treat this like the comic book world, where there's each one is its own graphic novel with its own artists and its own story writers, and this is your vision of it. And you can do what, you know, take that and do what you want with it. And it was so liberating to hear that and be supported with that, like, throughout. So I really appreciated it.
Now, from there, they had a few great words. They talked about the experience, and this has been something I've been excited for a very long time. So I was hopeful I'd get the chance to talk to these great folks, and I did. So I'm going to kick this off first with a video of me talking to director Craig Gillespie, who I adore. This man's work is so varied and all feels like it led to Supergirl. If you've never seen Lars and the Real Girl, or Cruella, or the incredible I, Tonya, there's so much of this man's work that I think lends itself directly to this property. Check this out.
Hey man, absolute pleasure. I work for DC Studios Showcase, and we have been talking about this for a year now. So I've been wondering, with your entire filmography, it feels like it led to this incredible story. Like Lars and the Real Girl has that tonality shift. I really think what you did with Cruella production design, I think Dumb Money has that snark. Is there anything from your prior work that you feel most served you to make this story?
This is exactly what I'm always doing, and that's when I read the script the first time. It was so in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
To have a character, I don't know, this has not been a deliberate thing for me. I haven't been out to make movies about outsiders and underdogs, but it just seems to have presented itself as a theme that I'm always attracted to. And she's exactly that. And from the first scene I read of her in the screenplay, I'm like, all right, I know how to do this. I know who she is. And I know how to portray the story, and I could empathize with it.
Yeah.
And she really is. She's so different to Superman. She comes from a lot of trauma, and she's running away from it, and she's trying to process it, and she doesn't want this label. And just to be able to lean into that, it was so exciting for me. I mean, obviously, I, Tonya comes to mind as well.
Oh, 100%.
You know, because again, an outsider, like you know, put upon by the world, rejected,
Expectations,
and she's carrying a lot of that same baggage. So,
and visually, what Bilquist brought to this world, like the green sun, the psychedelic dragons.
When I met with Peter, it's like, because I knew about what they were doing on Superman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are we in the same world? What's going, like, how do you want to do this? And he's like, this is like, it's its own independent graphic novel.
Yeah.
You got to meet with Tom King and add in Lobo.
Yeah, he's back.
Who we heard was in the original. We saw Lobo.
We saw that cigar.
How was it to be able to bring your own elements to the story?
That was crazy. That was a huge amount of R&D on that, because to have him come to the screen for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and also fit into our reality, you know. And it's like, so that was a long journey, but a great journey. And I think we came to a place. And Jason, obviously, we've been wanting to do it for.
We were calling him Lobo when he was off.
Yeah. He was born to play Lobo.
Thank you for doing that for us.
I'm so excited about it.
So yeah, the man is very excited. Frankie teamed up with me here. We got to talk a little bit about Lobo. We got to talk about his work influencing this. And as this press tour goes along, I'm going to bring you guys as much more as I can. Now I'm going to jump into, well, I'm going to show you this picture because I wasn't able to actually record the interview. They're going to be saving, understandably, it's 7 months away, saving a lot of press and quotes and things, but I did get to talk privately with Millie Alcock. But the things I'm allowed to tell you about her rendition of Supergirl, we talked and I asked her basically what was the Venn diagram for her? What was the thing that when she was first reading the comic felt like the great equalizer between Millie Alcock herself and Kara Zor-El? How did she find her way into the character? And I love what she had to say. She said in this comic book, Kara is discovering herself in a very different way, in a different phase in her life, and she loved that she was discovering Kara through that. She was saying how basically finding this perseverance, finding the very act of striving was what connected her to the character. So it was that perseverance, that pushing through, that self-discovery was her own discovery. And I love how that would tie into such a deep level as an actor, how that would tie in so deeply to the human experience. And that means this performance, like, I can already feel the grit, I can already feel the punk, I can already feel the trauma and the horror. And the trailer for me very clearly showed the differences between her and Clark. And that's one of the reasons I love the Woman of Tomorrow series. And I love that this answer, it was a brief conversation, but in that one answer, I felt so much of those differences. I felt so much of Kara Zor-El in that kind of answer. And I just love the idea of striving as a motivation. I feel like all of us are trying to find our way through the world and push through and discover ourselves. And for that to be her first instinct of what connected her to the character, for that to be the first thing she thought of when I asked the question, I love how deeply rooted that is. So I really like that answer. Millie Alcock, I'm so excited to see your Supergirl. So from there, I also got to talk to James Gunn and Peter Safran. These two gents I see a little bit more often. I'd never met Craig, I'd never met Millie, but I have talked to James Gunn a fair amount in the past, and I love catching up with Peter Safran as much as I can as well. I couldn't record the James Gunn because it was the James Gunn interview moment was surrounded by 100 people. It was very crowded. You can see a little bit of it here. It was madness, but I love working with this guy. This guy loves comic books. He breathes comic books. So my question, since I only got a little bit of time, was naturally, what's it like to finally get to just enjoy this as a comic fan? Like, you're obviously overseeing this universe, but when you're not writing and directing and making all of this, you get to actually watch it for the first time sometimes. So what were some of the things you were most excited to see as a fan of the comic? And he said the visuals from the comic and some of the elements of those visuals, seeing them for the first time blew his mind. He specifically talked about the Green Planet, which is something I'm going to dive in. In fact, if you haven't seen my breakdown of the comic, I talk a lot about the Green Planet. It's a very strong visual for me, and it's something that means a lot to me from the comic, but he specifically mentioned how exciting that was. So I'm not going to dive too much into our conversation because there are spoilers for the comic. There are elements of the movie. I don't know which direction they'll go, but I will tell you that we talked about visuals. We talked about elements from the comic that are very striking and unique and going to be very strong cinematically. And we talked about the pre and post-crisis reality of these characters and how difficult it is to, at times, get a modern film to translate these pre-crisis ideas. But they definitely did that with Superman. It sounds like they know the tone they're trying to go with Supergirl, which is going to bring a lot of very strong and bold ideas to a modern film. And then we joked a little bit about the journey that got us here. It was only 25 years ago. We were talking about the X-Men suits. It was 25 years ago that black leather was like the bar, right? And now we've got a green planet potentially. Now we've got so many things that are pure comic book glory from all ages of comics. Now, obviously, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a modern comic, but it has a lot of sensibilities from even pre-crisis era through to modern day. And I'm really excited to see this come to play. And that was something he was having fun talking about. So there's some stuff I can't say until later in the press tour, but that little nugget really excited me. And the dude loves and breathes this stuff. And it's really cool to get to talk to him about it as a fan and someone that's overseeing the universe and not always director, writer. He gets to be a different role here, and it was great to see him so giddy about it. So this was a really fun event for that as well. And then finally, I got to talk to Peter Safran a little bit. This dude is the other half of this co-CEO-ship of DC Studios. He's not as public-facing as James Gunn, who's very much the showman out, showing his wares, celebrating this glory. But Peter Safran is such a genius creative producer. He is so good at this stuff, and I love that he was down to get on a video because I'm always wanting the guy to get out and talk about this stuff because I love having conversations with him about comics. He had this to say.
All right, so we just got our first trailer for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, one of the boldest takes on a post-crisis Supergirl. The first time you read the comic, when did you know this was something you wanted to adapt onto the big screen?
Oh, instantaneously. James called me when it first came out. He said, I just read this Tom King. graphic novel that I fucking love. You gotta read it. And I read it, I was like, this is incredible. It's so different. It's such a unique take on Supergirl. And then he's like, the girl from House of the Dragons should star. And that was it. Here we go 3 years later.
We've got a green sun, we've got psychedelic dragons, we've got a lot of bold visuals. What are you most excited for the audience to see?
Mostly how amazing MILLY is as Kara. I think she has defined this world for the next generation.
Now, I asked you this off the record, but I do want people to know, what's your favorite project coming out next year?
Probably the next season of the podcast.
With music, thank you.
And I so appreciate the plug for DC Studio Showcase. I appreciate the love. It's his most anticipated property in this next phase. Thank you, Peter. I'm very excited too. But overall, I really love how much heart he has for this particular story. I love how much passion he has for it. The things that he and James have greenlit are so bold and brazen and off the beaten path, and this seemed like something that they really wanted from the very beginning. I love personally that Krypto was James Gunn's way into cracking his Superman story, and Krypto is very much, especially in this story, not Superman's dog, it's Kara Zor-El. I love that reveal. So this through line of Kara Zor-El launching this whole universe, this is the second cinematic property, but from the beginning, from what I understand, as they were launching this, as they were pitching this, this particular comic was the thing, or one of the things that really anchored this whole story. So hearing this from Peter Safran made me very happy. So I just wanted to share the experience with you guys. Lots more that I'll talk about as we get closer to release. Lots more about this whole press tour. I'll be covering it here. I'll be covering it on DC Studio Showcase. I'll be covering it everywhere, every trailer, every little nugget. So please hit that subscription bell. Please check out that show. It's on HBO and HBO's YouTube, DC Studio Showcase. And I really love that as a comic fan, I can give you guys a little bit of some of the crazier things. Like I love that I get the opportunity to chat with these folks that are creating this magical art, that are translating these comics we love so much, and I get to be like the nerd call coming from inside the house. So I really appreciate it. I'm really excited for Supergirl merch. I don't have any yet. This came from that trailer event last year, so I thought it was a fun little sequel to that journey. So please, like I said, subscribe, and I want to thank everyone at Warner Brothers for making this event possible. I want to thank iHeart Comics for making the actual physical event. I want to thank James Gunn, Peter Safran, MILLY, ALCOCK, and Craig Gillespie for their time. And I really want to thank you for watching, because I think it's really cool to actually talk to the creators behind this stuff. And I hope this video brings you a little closer to the magic of making movies and the magic of comic book movies. So hope you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate y'all. And if you want more like this, let me know. Like, subscribe, do all the buttons and stuff. And yeah, we're in for 7 months of Supergirl glory. I cannot wait for everyone to meet the Woman of Tomorrow. Go read the comic. Get ahead. It's amazing. I appreciate y'all. All right, bye.